This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Concerns raised for amendments on Vagrancy Act. Mining laws in the country questioned in Parliament. And questions raised on Police Commissioner's role. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. With the ongoing issues caused by people roaming the streets on a daily basis in Port Moresby and other urban centres around the country, the concern on amendments on the Vagrancy Act was flagged in Parliament yesterday by member for Hiri Koyari, Kit Iduhu. He raised this question to Minister for Justice and Attorney General Pila Niningi.
Majority of concerns raised in Parliament yesterday were in regard to the law and order issues that need to be urgently addressed. Causes of this issue were debated upon the floor of Parliament, one of which was raised by the Hiri Koyari MP, Keith Iduhu, on the review of the Vagrancy Act.
I want to ask the Attorney General and the CLRC Chairman whether the might and resource and intellectual might of Papua New Guinean jurisprudence and judicial excellence will pay any attention to reviewing Section 52 of the Constitution and the Vagrancy Act, which was rendered unconstitutional by the Supreme Court quite some time ago and been put in the too-hard basket. But the very preamble that my colleague MP has raised concerning the rife law and order situation in the country now compels this House to seriously look into managing and controlling the movement of human beings in this country.
Attorney General Pila Niningi, in response, stated that under his leadership, a proper review of the Vagrancy Act will be done.
We can reintroduce or we can strengthen the law. Of course, we now recruiting judges.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
Concerns on seabed mining in PNG Waters were raised in Parliament. Northern Governor Gary Jufa questioned the Mining Minister Se Anopala on reviewing the mining laws of the country.
Governor Jufa questioned Mining Minister Se Anopala on the laws which surround deep-sea mining and how effective they are. He also asked if there is proper monitoring on foreign companies who have done seabed mining.
Or confirm whether there is truth to these rumors suggesting that this company, Nautilus Seabed Mining, is planning to return to PNG to engage in deep-sea mining activities again. Can the Minister, given the past experiences with Nautilus Seabed Mining, advise as to whether the government has taken steps to reinforce the country's mining laws and policies to protect the interest of our citizens and the sovereignty of our waters?
This is Anopala's response.
That the company is planning to return to PNG. This company currently holds 3 exploration licenses, or ELs, that are all undergoing term extensions. Department of Minerals Policy and Geo-Asset Management has addressed some of these concerns in the revised Mining Act. As a matter of conscience and best industrial practice, the Mineral Resource Authority has always imposed conditions in license grants whenever laws and government policies are silent or insufficient or on activities that pose risks to environment and communities.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape has clarified that the Police Commissioner David Manning is still considered the pandemic controller. However, since the relaxing of COVID measures, his attention is now focused on policing matters in the country. This was said following a series of questions without notice raised by Deputy Opposition Leader Douglas Tomuriesa today in Parliament.
With the ongoing law and order problems in the country, Deputy Opposition Leader questioned the Prime Minister as to why the Police Commissioner David Manning is performing two roles when the state emergency was lifted as of June 16, 2020. He said the Police Commissioner should concentrate on dealing with law and order issues in the country.
Has the Commissioner not neglected his primary duty as Police Commissioner as a result of his dual role and thereby causing an upsurge in crime and violence nationwide? Number 4, Mr. Speaker, if the government is happy to keep him as controller, can it name a new police commissioner as the country clearly needs one? And finally, Mr. Speaker, is the government considering a state of emergency to arrest rising law and order problems, particularly the killings we experience in the country?
Prime Minister Marape assured the Parliament that Commissioner Manning has not abandoned his role as the Police Commissioner.
At work as Police Commissioner, and I want to assure you he's no longer on full day job looking after the pandemic matter. We've sailed out through the pandemic phase. He's now back in his everyday job.
Prime Minister says the Pandemic Act is still in place as this is not just applicable to COVID-19, but for future pandemics as well. He highlighted that PNG needs another 26,000 policemen and women to deal with all the law and order issues.
United Nations has relayed to us the number of policemen we need in our country to curb lawlessness is about 26,000, if I'm not wrong, 26,000. We need 26,000 policemen. The last time a police recruit took place was, a systematic recruit took place was 2008. And the latest it took place was 2018 or 2017, thereabouts, only once. We had almost a 10-year gap of absent of police recruit.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape today in Parliament gave an insight as to where the PNG government is in terms of the Bougainville Peace Agreement. He reported that for the first time since 2001, the PNG Navy is entering Bougainville shores for relief efforts.
Commending the tempo set by the 2001 peace agreement between the government of PNG and the autonomous Bougainville government, Prime Minister Marape gave assurance that consultations and discussions are now to the last leg of the agreement.
That we are now coming down to the last leg of the 2001 peace agreement. And we talk last or requirement and we required that Parliament by kissing result belong referendum and underneath law tok is silly belong section 342 belong Bougainville or our national constitution that deals with Bougainville issues, and we talk also in Parliament by making final decision.
Prime Minister Marape expressed appreciation to the President of the Autonomous Region of Bougainville, Ismail Toro Ama, and the people for respecting parliamentary proceedings to prevail. He gave assurance that decisions made in this regard will be constitutional. He went to make mention the continued support given to the Autonomous Region of Bougainville.
Having said this, I want to also assure people of Bougainville, in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, under my watch, we've given them more resources to get Bougainville up and running, including deciding on 621 million kina as what was defined constitutionally, what we owe to them, never paid before. We agreed, and under our watch, Treasurer Yenling Saki and Finance Minister, the Honourable Rainbow Paita, have been clearing out.
The PNG Defence Force team deployed to the Autonomous Region of Bougainville have arrived and are carrying out relief efforts to people being displaced by the eruption of Mount Bagana. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
Still in Parliament, Marape Governor Lutawenge expressed that how can public servants carry out their work effectively when their welfare is not taken care of.
The Marape governor stressed that a public servant's income is not enough as of current with the inflation in the economy. Also noting accommodation issues, he stressed that with such pressures, it was not surprising how some public servants get into conflict with the law to make ends meet.
You cannot expect them to sleep in the saksak house, in the kunai house, living in the settlement, in the block, catching a PMB, and going to work in the office, and you expect them to perform the standard that you require them to perform. That's not going to be the case because you're dealing with human beings.
Sharing similar sentiments was the Northern Governor, Gary Juffa, who spoke as the chairman of the Special Parliamentary Committee and Public Service Reforms.
The current situation with our public service is this. Our public service are suffering from lack of proper benefits, from lack of proper remuneration, from unproductivity caused by these situations. We expect them to turn up, be happy, be productive, help transform this nation. But what do we pay them to do this job? Where are they living? What are the conditions they live in?
Governor Juffa noted a way forward to addressing such issues in the public sector.
We have connected with the New Zealand public sector, and we've been working with them for a year now, ourselves, the committee, as well as the Department of Personal Management. And we're looking at a roadmap, which will be tabled here shortly, which says how we can transform this. And we're going to have to make some hard decisions.
He noted that a point of reform would be to do away with public service entities with duplicating obligations to others, of which would save revenue to cater for other necessary sectors. The governors made these comments following the presentation of the 2021 and 2022 Annual Management Report from the Department of Personal Management, which was made today in Parliament. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. In light of the recent announcement of Enga's 3-month lockdown following the escalating tribal fights, the Governor for Enga, Sir Peter Ipatas, in Parliament today assured concerned families that students in Enga will be safe and that their education will not be affected.
Issues along Enga, I want to give assurance to parents of students studying in Enga and lecturers and public servants from outside of Enga who are serving in our province that they are all safe and well. What we have is tribal fights, and tribal fights are confined to tribal areas.
With the continuous power outages faced in the National Capital District, PNG Power Limited has been finding solutions to address this ongoing issue. The board and management of PPL have announced today that technical work have been done at the Edavu Hydro Power Station to help supply power to the city.
The current peak load demand at the Port Moresby grid is around 132 megawatts. According to PPL, the current supply to the city is not enough to cater for both businesses and residents. Bringing Edavu hydropower on board will provide around 54 megawatts to support the Port Moresby grid. PPL's chairman Ronald Nale says these are some steps PPL is taking to tackle power issues in the nation's capital.
Part of this bring reliability to grid. Port Moresby is a very important grid for us, and we're partnering with the team at Edavu led by Alan, and we want to assure that in Moresby we're taking steps to improve the reliability, and this is what's one of the initiatives that we are taking.
Mr. Nale said currently they are working on tower constructions from Edavu Hydro Station in the Hiri Koyari district of Central Province to Moitaka Power Station at 8 Mile. He said Edavu hydropower will help cut down on cost.
The costs such as foreign exchange reserves, costs such as diesel. We buy diesel on a higher price, we sell at a lower price. So we were never making money. What you see at PPL today is a is a result of a period of a lack of being able to capture our operating cost. As a company, you want to operate, you want to capture your cost as well as make a little bit more money. And in PPL, we have always been absorbing the cost of producing power.
The work is expected to be completed by the end of September for PNG Power to officially do the commissioning. Meanwhile, PPL's chairman, Mr. Nale, mentioned that they are also trying to restore power supply to other centers in the country, like East Sepik province, which is currently facing continuous power outage. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
The Department of Agriculture and Livestock has announced the commencement of a nationwide consultation to finalize the new National Agriculture Sector Plan 2024 to 2044.
Acting Secretary for the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, Dr. Nelson Simbigan, announced that the nationwide consultations with all stakeholders to finalize the new National Agriculture Sector Plan 2024 to 2044 will commence on August 7th to the 8th in Kokopo, East New Britain Province. Dr. Simbigan said this will kickstart direct dialogue with all stakeholders, including farmers, capturing essential data from the industry players and all relevant stakeholders to include their inputs and assist complete the final draft report, which will be due following completion of the month-long exercise. Consultants will further continue their review of the various agriculture subsector commodity corporate plans and legislations to be aligned and synchronized with the recently launched MTDP4. DAL encourages all stakeholders to fully participate in these workshops due to its importance in the economic enhancement and future prosperity of Papua New Guinea. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
2 women were part of 13 civil engineers who graduated today with certificates for successfully completing 4 years of the Graduate Development Program by the Department of Works and Highways. The 13 graduates were the first intakes of the graduate program by the Department of Works and Highways.
The 13 graduates are the first civil engineer graduates of the Graduate Development Program by the Department of Works and Highways. Under the theme, Developing Technical Skills for National Growth, the 14 graduates were challenged to be the driving force for the development of national growth. Speaking to the graduates, CEO of the Institute of Engineers of Papua New Guinea, Benedict Mike, said their presence was a testament to their personal growth and technical skills that will contribute to the nation's growth.
To stand on the threshold of the future, we must recognize the critical role that all engineers play in shaping the destiny of all nations around the globe. From designing innovative infrastructure to addressing environmental challenges. You, all of you here as engineers, are the builders of a better world.
The Secretary for the Department of Works and Highways, David Were, also conveyed his congratulations to the graduates.
It's not about just sitting here. I know you have already graduated. This may be your other small graduation, but I think it's very significant as far as experience is concerned. As far as experience,
Rachel Aputi, one of the 2 females who graduated today, acknowledged her immediate supervisors, colleagues and family who have supported her throughout her GDP journey. She added that the journey has been very challenging as a female in a male-dominated field. However, she has strived to be where she is today and is thankful for the opportunity given by the Department of Works and Highways.
To be the only female in the department, to work along with the guys, it's challenging, especially when you are in the field and this technical part of it.
The 14 graduates were gifted with laptops after the ceremony for their continued work as they depart for their respective locations. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
7 students from Western Highlands province were assisted with 10,000 kina each to help with their student fees. The students are currently taking up master's program in 3 different universities abroad.
Human resource is the future of Western Highlands province. This statement was made by the governor of Western Highlands province, Rapa. Governor Rapa paid a total of 70,000 kina to 7 students from his electorate. The 7 students were given 10,000 kina each for their school fees. The checks were received by the parents of the recipients as the students have already left for their studies abroad.
Migla pay 10,000 la one pinini. But it's not 7 la school pinini. All plenty blown, I think all work stuff. All like back Sambla back Oxen Masters. Sambla scholarship all by or seven Christian Savi blown.
Governor Rapa, upon presenting the checks, commended the parents for their support to their children's education journey. Governor Rapa assured the parents that he will continue to support the parents with their children's school fee in the coming years. Among the recipients is Peter Park Rumins, a high school teacher who is a person living with disability. Mr. Rumins will be taking up Masters of Development Studies at the University of Melbourne. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report. The kina closed unchanged at 0.2790 US dollars in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying 0.2715 US dollars, 0.4073 Australian dollars, 0.2390 euro, 0.43 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Moving to overseas news now, a Queensland man was charged with more than 1,600 abuse offences. He was alleged to have committed them while employed at 10 childcare centres both abroad and in Australia.
Childcare advocate and the founder of Bravehearts, Hetty Johnston, is calling for this national audit into childcare centres. She wants to see the use of mobile phones in childcare centres reviewed, as well as the build of childcare centres and how they're actually structured. After a 45-year-old man from the Gold Coast, a former childcare worker, he was charged with 1,623 child abuse offences. These offences allegedly occurred over a 15-year period from 2007 to 2022 and involved 91 children. It's alleged those children were here in Brisbane, Sydney and also overseas.
This is one of the most horrific child abuse cases that I've seen in nearly 40 years of policing. And New South Wales Police will continue to relentlessly pursue this matter on behalf of our 23 victims who remain our #1 priority. Alongside our partner agencies, we are absolutely committed to prosecuting anyone who comes after our most vulnerable.
Evacuation of European citizens in Niger has begun following last week's coup.
ค Cars are queuing outside the airport in Niger's capital as foreign nationals rush to leave the country on European repatriation flights. The military junta overthrew Niger's democratically elected president last week in the 7th military takeover in less than 3 years in West and Central Africa. A bloc of West African countries has threatened to use force to restore the ousted president. Supporters of the coup leaders have waved Russian flags and set fire to the French embassy. The White House says it has no indication Russian mercenary group Wagner was behind the coup.
We continue to support the democratically elected president of Niger, and the situation does remain fluid. And so we think that it's just too soon to characterize the nature of ongoing developments.
At least 20 people are confirmed dead and several others are missing due to periods of heavy rains and floods in North China.
After days and days of rain in the northern parts of China, we've seen this incredible amount of flooding hitting Beijing and the nearby city of Tianjin and Hebei province. Now, as you mentioned, there are at least 20 dead. 11 of those are reported to be in Beijing and 9 in the Hebei province, and there's at least a dozen people still missing. State media is reporting that the President Xi Jinping has ordered all-out rescue efforts in China in the wake of these floods. We've seen images of cars being swept down, churning and swollen rivers, and just mangled remains of car wrecks as some of those flood waters are dissipating. Already there's tractors and thousands of workers out cleaning up. There's huge amounts of mud to be removed from streets, and we are starting to see some videos emerging of some pretty hairy rescues as well. Now, this is the after effects of Typhoon Doksuri. It hit the Fujian province in southern China late last week, I should say, causing quite a lot of damage there. Hundreds of thousands, more than 100,000 people, I should say, evacuated in that area, and billions of dollars worth of economic losses and damage to crops there. It then, despite being downgraded, did move further north, bringing this huge amount of rain to Beijing and the surrounding provinces, and we're still learning the total toll of this incredible weather event.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been indicted on 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government.
Donald Trump has been indicted on a further 4 criminal counts. Now, these relate to a federal probe into attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election when Donald Trump lost to the now President Joe Biden. And it relates in particular to events that we saw on January the 6th in 2021 when a mob of Donald Trump supporters attacked the US Capitol while a sitting was in motion to actually certify those results, which was being overseen by Donald Trump's then Vice President Mike Pence. And what we've heard today from the special counsel is that he believes that Donald Trump worked to defraud the American people, to defraud the American government by trying to stop that lawful transfer of power, which is an extraordinary charge to be levelled against a man who used to sit at the top of the United States government. But let's hear from the special counsel himself, Jack Smith.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG Kickboxing Federation is looking forward to hosting its fundraiser event in Port Moresby tomorrow to support its fighters who will travel to USA this month. To raise funds to support its fighters to their first ever international event, this year the PNG Kickboxing Federation will host a gala dinner tomorrow evening in Port Moresby, where corporate sponsors and individuals are invited to attend and to support the team travelling to USA. Meanwhile, the team have been busy training in Port Moresby at the Sir John Guy Stadium in preparations for their fight in US. The team travelling to US have been getting a lot of support from former and international PNG reps to get them ready for their fight. The team is expected to raise around 200,000 kina in order to support the fighters, both male and female, travelling to USA this month. The main aim behind this event is to expose our PNG talents in the hopes of finding potential promoters in USA. 16-year-old distance runner Christina Moyang from Simbu Province will proudly carry the flag for Papua New Guinea at the 2023 Commonwealth Youth Games in Trinidad. Moyang is slated to compete in the 800 meters, 1500 meters and 3000 meter events at the Games. She started to make her mark in the athletics arena when she won the 1500 meter under-16 race at the 2020 National Championships, and she has continued to show her courage ever since. Despite missing the 2021 National Championships, she excelled at the Highlands Mumase Regional Championships, taking top honours in the open 3,000 metres and 5,000 metre races. With the support from Athletics PNG, she showcased her prowess at the 2022 National Championships, sweeping the board in the open 5,000 metres, under 18 3,000 metres and under 16 1,500 metre events. Her commitment, discipline and self-motivation have earned her not just accolades, but the respect of her peers and mentors. Team PNG chef de mission Ms. Yamo Launa stated, "Being a flag bearer signifies leadership on and off the field and is a source of pride and joy for the individual." Team PNG will be consisting of 6 athletes across athletics and swimming. The Team PNG athletes are expected to arrive tomorrow in their host country. The National Rugby League competition will play its round 16 matches this coming weekend before the competition jumps into its preliminary rounds. After successfully opening the season with the inclusion of one of the new franchise, the EMK Civic Pride, the National Rugby League competition, after successfully completing its round 14 matches, coming back from a week break, the competition saw its round 15 matches end on a high note as the teams now look forward to playing in the round 16 matches. This will see outside teams participate in Port Moresby following the crossover almost 2 weekends ago. With round 16 up this weekend, teams in the competition will have to play extra hard in order to reach the top, with only one remaining round before the teams go into the grand final rounds. After next weekend's final round of the regular competition, the competition will jump into its grand final round of 4 weeks. Meanwhile, one of the top teams leading the competition so far after 15 straight consecutive wins are the Enga Mioks. And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, in the FIFA Women's World Cup, a dominant performance from England in the Women's World Cup after beating China 6-1.
A dominant performance from England in the Women's World Cup.
It sure was. They were brilliant last night. Probably their best performance of the World Cup, as they confirmed that they would be on top of their group going into the round of 16 in Group D. That is the group that they were in. They defeated China 6-1. Denmark is the team that finished second, so that means they booked a place against the Tillies on Monday night. But it was the Lionesses who were so brilliant yesterday. Lauren James, she's been brilliant for them so far this tournament. She scored 2 goals. as England showed why they, the current European champions, with the absolute dismantling of China. China did fight hard, but England just had too many gears for them, so that sees them through to the round of 16, of course. Denmark defeated Haiti 2-0. So that was the matchup that everyone was waiting for to be confirmed, and Denmark will be taking on the Matildas on Monday night up in Sydney, which will be a fantastic clash, and everyone now knows that that's the golden ticket. If you are able to buy that ticket before the World Cup started, well, you are happy as Larry walking down the street now.
In netball, Australia has survived a scare at the Netball World Cup against Malawi after overcoming a rough start.
So Australia survives a scare in the Netball World Cup.
Yeah, so they've been dominant so far over there. They won their first 4 games easily, not even dropping a single quarter, but they did overcome a big scare to register their 5th win. They ended up winning quite comfortably, 70-46 goals over Malawi, but it was a game of 2 halves, because going in at half-time, the Queens were level with the Diamonds at half-time. So they went into the sheds and had to work out exactly what it was and where things were going wrong. And they brought Sophie Garbin on at goal shooter, and she really turned the tides. Malawi didn't really adjust the way that they played, and also they conceded a lot of penalties. MVP Steph Wood was great on the night. She had 18 goals at 95% accuracy to go with her 17 feeds and 13 goal assists in only 3 quarters. So despite a bit of a scare, they were able to reset after the half and come out firing.
And in AFL, Hawthorns' Max Lynch has been forced into retirement.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more of this, particularly in the AFL men's competition. This is due, he's only 24 years old, and this is due to the ongoing concussion injury issues, I should say, that he's suffering. An independent medical panel has ruled that he should stop playing contact sport permanently. He played for Collingwood before coming over to the Hawks, and he was put on the club's long-term injury list in May after he was subbed out of a game with concussion. He only played 11 games at the top level, but he will take up a role as a development coach for the Hawks AFLW team as he transitions his way into life after footy.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine and windy. Daru brief showers and windy. Karama cloudy with few showers. Alatau and Popondetta cloudy periods with few showers. In the Momase region, Ley cloudy with occasional rain showers and thunderstorm. Madang cloudy periods with few showers. Wewak and Vanimo some showers with possible thunderstorm. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, some showers with possible thunderstorm. Kavieng, few showers with possible thunderstorm. Kokopo and Rabaul, few showers with possible thunderstorm. Kimbe, partly cloudy with a shower or 2. Buka, cloudy with some showers and thunderstorm. And in the Highlands region, all centres cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorm, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Wednesday, the 2nd of August, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.